Here we go, Donald Trump.
Witch hunt. It's election interference at the highest level. It's a disgrace. It's in coordination with the White House and Joe Biden because he can't win a campaign fairly. And we're going through it, but it is indeed a terrible witch hunt. We're going to have a news conference a little bit later on. As you know, I want to speak. I want to make the summation. At this moment, the judge is not letting me make the summation because I'll bring up things that he doesn't want to hear. And it's a very unfair trial. Nobody's seen anything like this. I don't think they've ever seen anything like this. We have a situation where a statute was used that doesn't give me a jury, so I have no jury. I really have no rights, and it's and nobody thinks it's constitutional. People, legal scholars are writing about it like it's something they've never seen before. So it's interference. It's political interference. And it's something that shouldn't be allowed. So I am hoping to speak and to help my lawyers reveal all of the defects of this case. It should have never been brought. Very, very strong financial statements. They thought it was the opposite. They had no idea because I'm a private company. Then they saw them knock their socks off. They couldn't believe it. But great financial statements. Everything is good. We have a level of detail in our defense that nobody's ever had. This is a case that should have never been brought, and it was brought. And it's very unfair, and it's very bad for New York State. Companies are fleeing, people are fleeing, the streets are crime-ridden, and Letitia James, that's all she thinks about is get Trump. She's been dreaming about it for years, and it's not the way a state should be run. Because this is a state that's been in big trouble. You have all the businesses fleeing, and you have the people fleeing. The people that pay taxes. People that don't pay taxes are coming in, so that's not what you want. So I want to thank you. We're going to have a news conference today around, we don't know the time, we'll notify you, but sometime in the early afternoon at 40 Wall Street. So we'll give a news conference where we can actually speak and have a microphone here, because even that they don't want us to have. They really don't want us to speak too much. So we'll see whether or not the judge allows me to speak. Perhaps he won't, but I certainly would like to. Thank you very much.
I want to play this for you. So we were watching the courtroom. So the president has spoken. So I don't think you're going to see him again. We'll keep an eye on that. Letitia James is an interesting person, right? So she campaigned initially on this. She's been pushing forward. She's in the courtroom every day. She's making sure she's in that camera shot. And she had planned this for a while. Let's watch here. Call for number one.
The President of the United States has complained that I'm engaging in some sort of political witch hunt, that I've got some personal vendetta against him, that I campaigned against him. That is not true.
I look forward to going into the office of Attorney General every day, suing him, defending your rights, and then going home. We will rise up together and we will resist this president that ultimately will bring him down.
What do you make of that?
She's a politician, and she's running a campaign, and she's continuing to deliver on the campaign that she ran. So what we see when we see Donald Trump in court now is her looking for astronomical damages for something that banks had an opportunity to investigate. If a real estate agent tells you your house is worth $1 million, you list it for 1.5 and it sells for 2, what was the house worth? I mean, that's the sort of thing that Trump is looking at the end of the day, trying to make a case that he was just doing business. He was being a businessman.
And they've made the case that nobody suffered damages here. The banks were fulfilled. They were happy with the loans they made, et cetera. Apparently, there was an email exchange yesterday. They were trying to postpone today's hearing, in part because Melania Trump just lost her mother, and the former president wanted to go back to Florida to be with his family. I just want to put it on screen here. I don't have it on paper. And this is what lawyers said with the judge. I won't debate this yet again. Take it or leave it, now or never. You have until noon. 7 minutes from now, I will not grant any further extension. So that's from yesterday. It didn't happen. Is that par for the course or not?
Well, it's been par for the course throughout this entire trial. I think one of the things that's most important in any trial is that a judge appears to be fair and unbiased in what they're doing. And there are serious questions about that in this case, where the judge effectively ruled on a matter of fact before the trial ever took place. There's been hostility throughout. Certainly, Donald Trump has had hostility towards the judge and towards the court throughout the case as well. So when the judge in the last minute continues to just all caps send that sort of message, it doesn't feel fair, I'm sure, to Donald Trump or to his supporters.
Are other real estate tycoons or even investors in New York worried about the outcome of this case?
I think every business person in New York should be worried about this. The idea that you are negotiating with other companies, with banks, with lending institutions, the way that that comes out and how you trust certain people in your team and what they say the value is, for example, my example about the real estate agent, it's a very difficult thing to dance through, and then all of a sudden political opponents attack you.
I would say just a couple more things here. Put number 2 up, guys. These are the properties they're talking about, primarily in New York City, but also New York State. We live here. These are substantial properties. We can say that and agree on that, correct?
Absolutely.
And they want to fine him $370 million, which maybe in the grand scheme of things, if he really is worth $1 billion, maybe he could take the hit. All right, let's just put that to the side. But what they want to do is take him and his kids out of New York State entirely and forbid them from doing business here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you do that?
You know, constitutionally, we talk about life and liberty. Liberty is typically this idea that you have the right to work, that you have the right to create your fortune. You know, Donald Trump being stripped of his right to do business in the state of New York, to be stripped of these properties, that is a tremendous consequence. It is something that is just shy of going to jail. It is something that I think we should be looking at with a great degree of skepticism, where he doesn't have a jury, where the judge is reaching decisions pre-trial. These are concerns for the state of New York and the people who do business here.
Biden seems to have taken his campaign on offense big time. Yesterday, he went after Trump, calling him a loser. Larry Kudlow's with us this morning. All right, Larry, why is Biden making such harsh attacks on Trump?
Because he's losing.
Exactly.
Because Biden's losing in the polls.
That's right.
There are fresh polls out today in the swing states. Actually, not only is Trump ahead in 6 or 7 states, but when you ask people who's going to win in those states, Trump has even bigger leads. Now, these are polls, not votes. I get that, but that's one reason. The other reason is you've got Democrats like former President Barack Obama. He's saying Biden could lose. You had Michelle Obama. It was Fox News, I think, digital story. Yeah. Michelle Obama is terrified that Trump might win. One of their campaign managers, this chap Axelrod, smart guy, he's warning. So Biden's going out there making these absurd speeches about insurrection. What is insurrection? Trump wasn't charged with insurrection. He certainly wasn't convicted of insurrection. Biden keeps doing this. It's a red herring, Stu. In Wall Street terms, it's a red herring to distract from the affordability crisis, the $3 trillion of regulations on small business. You heard Jamie Dimon say recession risk is still substantial. I happen to agree with that. The southern border is in catastrophe mode. Foreign policy has been slumping for Biden, who has very weak leadership. These are all the things that show up in polls, but Biden wants to ignore them because he has such a negative track record. He's afraid to talk about his presidency.
Well, Larry, which GOP candidate is the one who would overturn the D.C. elite and replace the deep state bureaucracy? Which GOP candidate will do what I think you want him to do?
Look, that is exactly the key point. Somebody has to blow up the swamp. And I still believe that President Trump, former President Trump, is the best person to blow up the swamp. Look, he has a very good track record in his first term. He has a lot of experience. But here's the point. Trump knows even more now where the bodies are buried and how to go after the bureaucracy. One of the plans being formulated is to go after all these tenured civil servants who are not nonpartisan. Most of them, the majority of them, are left-wingers, and they subvert conservative policies. I think nobody would go after them as strongly and wisely as Donald Trump will. He's absolutely devoted his political life to it.